Good evening. I'd like to call the regular meeting of the Board of Finance for August 18th, 2025 to order. First item on the agenda is public forum. Anybody wishing to address Board of Finance in public forum? And seeing none, item number 2, approve minutes of our Board of Finance meeting minutes of July 21st, 2025. Do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any revisions, revisions or corrections? All good?
I had one on.
You did have one, okay.
Section 3.4.
Yep.
Mr. Ailes said the Board of Education is going to begin negotiations with the teachers' bargaining agreement. I think it should be teachers' bargaining unit.
I'd accept that. Yep.
I don't want to put words in your mouth. but-
Nope, I like that. That's better. Okay, anything further on those minutes? If not, I'll call the question. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Abstain.
Okay, Amy and Megan. Correspondence, item number 3, 3.1 Standing Building Committee minutes. Anything regarding the Building Committee minutes of August 5th, 2025?
I see Lathrop House is scheduled to open for tennis September 1st. Do we happen to know who's going in there and why?
I'm sorry, could you just repeat the very first portion?
Lathrop House, I see,
Yeah.
is scheduled to be opened up or completed for town office work September the 1st. I'm just curious about who's going in.
On the town side, yes, Mary Jane.
Engineering and economic development.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I saw the one thing about the ductwork at Baldwin.
Mm-hmm.
Seemed coming in a little change order for $45,000 that they're figuring out what to do.
Item number
10.
10. Okay, I was looking at 9. Okay, the HVAC.
Yep.
So they haven't approved anything that they're working
No,
on?
they're still working on it.
Resolution to
Yep.
the, yeah, it seems like there's some confusion there, so,
Yep.
okay. I'm sure we'll have a report back.
Yes.
Next
Yes.
meeting, yeah, okay.
Question.
Megan?
Item 14.
14?
For the facility needs assessment, is
Mhm.
there an expected completion date for that?
Linda, would you know on that, or
Sorry.
a little louder?
Okay, for the facility needs assessment, do you have an expected completion date for that assessment?
The firm has a draft of the report and is
Okay.
reviewing it, and then it will go to the
Board of Ed.
Education, and then it will be.
And then Board of Finance?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Distributed after that.
Great. Thank you. Anything, excuse me, anything further on standing building? Okay, we'll move on to 3.2 Pension Committee minutes and monthly report.
Big month.
Yeah.
Don't get used to it.
Moments in time.
Good to see.
Snapshot,
Yeah.
right.
We'll take the positive news.
Just showing everybody.
Yeah. All right.
Is that for June or July?
That was for
End of June?
June.
end of June.
June.
Yeah, 6:30.
Okay.
3.3 OPEB. Anything on OPEB?
It's in line.
In line,
Yeah.
exactly. Okay. Item number 4, review and accept the report of expenditures for the Board of Education for July 2025. Linda Trudeau, Jennifer Baldwin, hello.
Hello. 2 months in a row?
Roll.
Okay. It's going to be pretty quick and easy. There was really nothing that stood out, so I'm just going to do some of the basics here. Expenditures for the month of July 2025, and this is the July 2025 that closes out the 24-25 school year or fiscal year. Expenditures and encumbrances were $753,314.63. This was 99.79% of the budget as compared to 99.85% from the year prior. Revenue was $9,794.50. This was $9,414.52 for Medicaid and about $380 for non-resident tuition. There are some lines that are a little bit off in the budget, and there was some transfers that were made and approved by the Board of Ed on August 11th. I'm assuming Linda's going to talk about those at some point. Salaries were in line with the prior year. Employee benefits were higher than last year. Purchase services were lower. Tuition was lower, significantly lower, for a number of reasons that we can get into. Supplies and materials were lower. Capital was higher. Transportation was lower. And the warrants that were being submitted were $928,788.34. So with tuition, the big thing is that a number of students were brought either back from outplacement or were not outplaced. So they stayed within the district, and that really helped have such a large surplus on the tuition line. So that definitely helped in terms of when we had to do the budget transfers for the other lines.
Makes sense.
So Linda does have a breakdown of the lines that we adjusted accordingly. Additionally, on Monday, the 11th, the board voted to put money into the non-lapsing education fund.
Yes.
I think that's what it's called, in the amount of approximately 150, I think it was 150,000. I think it was just 150,000, or was it the whole 631.21?
$150,631.21.
So that's, again, we had approved that account the month prior, and then, so this is the first time we've ever put money into it. And just to put it in perspective, the surplus we had the year prior in July of 2024 was $103,195. So we're right in line in terms of our budget with the kind of surplus. It's not like we had anything extremely high that made it
Right.
seem weird, I
And
guess
I know
is the best way.
you made mention, the overage, I'm sorry, the being under budget on the tuition ended up getting reallocated to a number of items, which
Right,
then when all was said and done, that's the 150 that was left.
Correct.
yes.
So thank goodness that tuition actually trended that way this
Yes.
year.
And as always, that is fluid.
Always,
Yep.
always.
And I think our town does a great job of budgeting for that, because I think, we've seen the numbers, we've seen the need, and we know that those numbers are increasing in general, so.
I believe that next month we'll see all of those transfers, right? Do we see those next month? We see it because it was done August 11th, so we'll see that.
Well, you don't usually get another report for the previous fiscal year. Usually I only do the
Just
one
do-
in August.
You just do a recap?
Right.
Okay.
I can do another one just so that you can see the final.
Well,
It won't have any change, it's just, we're, I can tell you what we're doing. We're moving
Yeah.
$305,000 to employee benefits, $560,000 to electricity, $356,000 to special services, $29,600 to telephone and internet, $162,500 to safety, sanitation, and upkeep of building and grounds, and $248,000 to capital site improvements. So that's a total of $1,661,100. That's coming from the salaries line of $460,000, $1 million from tuition, $60,000 from heat, $51,100 from building and teaching, and $90,000 from regular buses.
And in terms of the salaries, that wasn't that we weren't fully staffed. It was, like, there was a lot of attrition where someone would leave at a higher pay, and we were able to hire and do some cost
I
savings
think we
with
touched
newer
on that
hires.
last month, about the salary line.
Yeah.
And there were some
Yeah.
para positions that were unfilled for part of the year because we had turnover, and so we get a little bit of a savings from not having somebody in place all the time.
But one of the transfers that you mentioned, I think, a moment ago was the transfer into special services, because while the tuition line, and we've talked about this before, while the
Yes.
tuition line had a surplus, because we're keeping more students in district, and we can't provide all the services that those students need, special services goes up.
Right. The other part of that, and which is another piece of the salaries being under budget, is that we had an employee out for the year, and it was an OT person, and so we, instead of hiring another OT person, we contracted it. So the expense was in the special services, contracted services line, and we had the savings in the salary line to offset it.
I see.
So that was another piece of that salary savings. But I did send out a final tuition report for the year that shows the full, I can't find it, it's right here somewhere. The final ending balance of over $1 million surplus in the tuition line.
With the additional funding.
Yes.
And part of that too, right, was the state with their contribution.
Yes, we got the additional excess cost. And we've already, so you probably won't see a tuition report until maybe the October meeting, just because we're still
Fluidity.
fluid. But we already know that one of our high-cost students has moved out of district, and another student is going to be returning back to Guilford High School. So they were budgeted for because we didn't know this was going to occur at the time that we did the budget. So we're starting the year off in a pretty good place with tuition, which is a good thing to know at this point.
Right.
But I just also want to mention that even with that surplus that you mentioned, our cost for tuition was over $3 million last year. So it's still a substantial number. So.
Yes, it is.
Okay, other questions regarding the expenditures of the board, maybe the meeting minutes? We do have the agenda. Yes.
Thank you for acknowledging. Just a quick question, and I may have missed it, so I was looking at the computer. But anticipated surplus for you guys this year on the Board of Ed side, and I think the agreement that we've all had that we're willing to allow the Board of Education to keep surplus expenditures. Any projections at this point on where you think that number is going to be and how much the Board of Ed would like to retain going forward?
So yeah, we did approve a non-lapsing education fund.
Transfer.
Yeah, and, well, we approved the fund, to do the fund itself, I want to say in June.
Right.
And so our surplus, when all is said and done, was $150,631.21.
Great.
And the board did approve that, to put that into the non-lapsing fund.
Great. May I add my support to the utilization of those funds for future opportunities, particularly given the uncertainty that we're facing relative to federal funds, not that we get a lot directly, but federal funds that will come through the State Department of Education. So I think it's wise that you guys retain those funds in the totality.
We appreciate the support.
Yep.
And I will be doing a memo to Mary Jane, asking her to establish that designated fund balance. And then that way, the fund will be held by the town. It'll be transparent. I will be adding a line to the report at the bottom. So every month you will see that balance hasn't changed.
There's a
So
held amount there.
you will see the balance going forward.
Good.
So we can keep it transparent, and I'm sure, if we have any plans for use it will be discussed about numerous times before it actually gets transferred.
Right.
And Mr. Chairman, I don't mean to demean the powers of this board, but that would be at the discretion of the Board of Education to
Yes.
use it as they see fit. But I think you just heard a willingness that they're going to be partners in talking
Notify
about
us.
Yes.
what's the most effective use of those funds.
Of course.
And there's definitely some parameters, you
I
know.
was just going to say that there are rules around the use of the funds.
We
Yes.
wouldn't approve it, we accept the decision.
Yeah.
No trips to Cancun for the board members or anything
No.
like
Well,
that?
No,
definitely no it cannot be a recurring expense. It has to be a one-time,
One-time event.
real
So you
emergency.
can't go to Cancun over and over again.
But you can go once.
Listen, let me look at that a little bit.
does that money get invested, or is that just buried while it's sitting there?
There to be used, or is that? Yeah.
And that's part of the reason why, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Mary Jane. Part of the reason why I thought it was important to keep it as a designated fund with the town and not have the funds be given to us where we would open a bank account and keep it. This way, it stays with the town, it's part of the whole fund that gets invested by the town, and it just, to me, seemed to be a more transparent way of doing this.
Great.
Can it accrue interest?
Yes, it can.
It can,
That's what I was wondering, and what
Okay.
rules are around it. I
because some funds can't.
Sometimes
Yeah.
they can't, so
I mean,
There are some arbitrage rules relative to state funds, and particularly those that have been granted to us, and what portion of those might be from the funding they get. But
I just want to be sure that
Yeah,
we're not.
we could double check and then
Yeah.
let us know it.
Yeah,
If we can, we will.
Well, at the end of the day.
Yeah, if you can, you will.
Somebody's going to get the interest on it,
Yeah, I
whether
mean,
it's Board of Education or the town.
yeah, I mean, if it's, honestly,
Yeah.
if it's kept by the town, you know, for interest on $150,000, you know, I
Yeah,
don't think
okay.
that's.
Right.
Just asking.
Not a huge amount, but it's still.
Yeah, only because we have different state funds, and so some you can and some you can't, and you just have to keep them separate, yeah.
Now, if it's.
So it's not state funds, it was just a state-approved.
It's not, these aren't state.
Oh, they're not state.
No, we know that. I think she's just equating this to.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
there are certain accounts that,
Yeah.
yeah, we cannot accrue interest on.
Yeah, most of the arbitrage rules apply to borrowing money at municipal rates and then earning on non-municipal rate
Yeah.
investments.
Got it.
That's where the arbitrage rules traditionally come into play, particularly around bond proceeds.
Now, if this account ever gets up to the limit that it could be, we may have to talk about interest at that point, because that would be a much different number. But at this point, I don't think anyone was really concerned about, you know, earning the interest off of 150 and thinking that if we had returned it back to the, you know, or let the town keep it, returned it to the town, whatever wording you want to use, they would have collected the interest on it anyhow.
It only makes a difference on how I set up, how I establish the account, whether it's overall for the town or for the Board of Ed, it makes a difference to the establishment.
I'm sure GFOA is going to give you an opinion on that
I'm not gonna
relatively
ask
soon.
I'm sure there's something in the, we can get the answer.
Okay. Anything?
I have a question about
Please.
the capital equipment lease. I know in the past, there was a limited market for where you could go. Has that changed, or is it still one?
Two.
Two. Oh,
Two.
so it's doubled.
Two. So last year, Cogent Bank, which was the vendor, sold the lease to another company. So I asked them if they'd be interested in bidding themselves, and they said yes. So
Okay.
I did get quotes from two companies for this year. Cogent Bank was still the lowest rate, or the best rate for us.
Right.
But at least now we have two options, because everybody else has backed out. They want to do nothing under $1 million. They consider this way too small for them to even bother with.
Okay. Well, that's good that you had an option at least.
Yes, I did have an option, and thankfully it did come in under what we had budgeted. My estimate of interest rates, which is purely a guess, worked in my favor this time, so we are about $5,000 or $6,000 under what was budgeted
Great.
for the annual payment.
Anything on the warrants?
Not to monopolize things, but I saw there was a transfer for dining services.
Yes.
Any comments that you'd care to make?
So we have to clear that debt at the end of the year. That does not mean for parents that this debt goes away. The Board of Ed will continue to do collection efforts to try and recoup those funds. So it now switches from the dining service office to my office, and we will continue to try and recoup those funds from parents.
And we did talk about this in a policy meeting. A policy was put forth, but we felt like it needed a little more work. And just the way that the policy meetings have been happening, it hasn't come up, but I fully anticipate it to hopefully be at the next policy meeting so that something can be put into place to try to really
But
give it some teeth.
In a meeting with the state school nutrition people, they said that the Board of Ed has the right to continue to collect for those funds. So we're going to do everything that we can to collect. That's a pretty good sum of money.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
no, it's
$22,000.
right.
It's a lot of money. So we're going to do everything we can to get that money back.
Mr. Chairman, at one point, there was, I've heard this issue talked about before. There's the ability to withhold awarding a diploma because of outstanding debt. Is that no longer the case?
We were told that you can't withhold anything. I had heard that same thing at one point. They said you can't withhold the diploma, but you could withhold the right to participate in graduation. But I think that they've even taken that leverage away from us. I mean, there is a big push to clear all the senior balances at the end of the year. That they, have to clear all their fees and all their lunch debt. But we cannot withhold a meal, we can't withhold their diploma, we can't withhold them from participating in other senior activities or other field trips.
There could be some other
My
options.
apologies for taking out fear, uncertainty, and doubt in the minds of the parents who might think that that was a threat, but
We could be creative.
Yeah, that'd be tough. That's a good question.
It'll be tough.
Okay. Anything else on warrants, financials? Tuition report. I did notice that there will be two motions this evening for approvals. We're going to be doing two sets, as we'll be doing for the town somewhat, with the warrants the town has. So why don't we do the report of expenditures for 24-25 first. So I'll entertain a motion to accept the report of expenditures and encumbrances in fiscal year 24-25 for the Board of Education for July 2025 in the amount of $753,314.63.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, abstentions, recusals? Okay. Other one will be for fiscal year 25-26. So I'll entertain a motion to accept the report of expenditures in fiscal year 25-26 for the Board of Education for July 2025 in the amount of $4,205,470.37.
I'll second, but I think we ought to hear the report first.
Oh.
Thank you.
Oh.
I mean, you don't have to.
I mean,
Yeah, we should.
All right, let's table that.
Well, it's in the discussion portion, so you're
All
good.
right. I like that, okay. All right.
Absolutely.
All right, Megan, I like that, okay,
Yeah,
we're good.
yeah.
Okay. Please discuss away.
So there's nothing really exciting about it. We spend a lot of money on the Board of Ed, front-loading a lot of things like dues and fees and subscriptions and renewals and things of that nature. So, just thinking in July, the last one I just reported on was only $753,000. This is already above $4 million. And
Right.
indicated $4,205,470.37. It's already 7.83% of the budget. We have received some revenue already for non-resident tuition and pre-K tuition totaling $4,820.24. But really, everything is, even some of the salaries are higher because of ESY and working during the summer months. But it really is all in line with
front-loading at the beginning of the year. The one thing I do want to point out is that the Board of Ed has already made their annual pension contribution. That was made this month as well. So the warrants we are submitting are in the amount of $2,211,841.96. I knew I'd have to mess it up at some point. I think, yeah, I mean, when you're looking at the financials themselves, when you look at the equipment is already, again, well, it's over 100%. I think it's 109%.
Yeah, the first month, there's a
But-
lot that's put into that.
And we get reimbursed and things of that nature, so,
Got a lot of Chromebooks already.
yeah. In terms of the warrants, there really wasn't anything that stood out.
Can I ask a policy question? On the electronic devices discussion?
Okay.
Is there going to be a financial component to that? Are you,
Well, I hope not.
okay,
But that is, the discussion is just beginning.
Okay.
I'm trying to think, I think we started the discussion last week. I think it was in operations. No.
Prior to operations.
It was we had policy prior to operations. It was a busy night on Monday. And so coming out of the policy meeting, what we've asked for is that the next workshop meeting, which isn't, it's next week?
Oh, no.
No, it's next month.
There's no meeting in August, it's next
Right.
September, end of September.
That is going to be a true discussion, as well as I think we're definitely inviting the public. I don't know if we're going to invite public comment at that or not. We may change things up a little bit because this is just the beginning of that discussion. But there is a proposed policy that is being put forth. It's going to take some time.
okay. Because I know whatever those bags are very expensive and
You know,
I'm just asking from a financial
You know,
perspective.
what I'm hearing and seeing, again, I'm not a researcher, right, I'm not all that, but the kids are getting around that. And as I brought up in the policy meeting, my daughter didn't even use the Chromebook that was supplied by the schools. My daughter, her grandmother bought her like, what is it, a MacBook or one of the ones that you're using, right, one of the laptops that you're using. How are you going to monitor that? It's the same idea. And I know that that's the high school. So the high school is definitely being looked at very differently than, say, elementary school. Elementary school, it's a little bit easier. But even in elementary school, you have children wearing the Apple Watches. They're calling their parents in the middle of class. So this is going to be a community conversation, because if you don't have the parents buying into whatever policy we set, this is going to fail. Because if you set a policy, but then parents start bringing up exceptions and getting their child exempted, now you're going to have 50% of the school that has it and 50% that doesn't, and how do you enforce that? It's impossible. So this is truly something that has to be done with the community. This is truly my personal opinion, not a Board of Ed opinion, but I think the Yonder pouches and things like that are just a waste of money, because the kids are going to bypass it.
I second that too.
Yeah, and so why? Why? You could come up with other policies and ways of doing things. I know it puts a lot more on the teachers, and I think the comment from Principal Chaff was, there was a discussion about whether or not hallways and lunchrooms, right, the times that kids socialize, why can't you take things away then? And you just don't have the staff. That's the other piece of this. Unless you're going to have staff going around monitoring it and enforcing it throughout the day in every area of the building, it's never going to be successful. I mean, we put in ways to stop them from vaping in the bathrooms, and they're still vaping in the bathrooms. So there's just ways around all of these things. And
But I'm sure you're looking at other towns and what they're doing, what works, what floats, what sinks. Otherwise, it's just hypothetical, right?
I think a lot of it's sinking, I think is what they're finding.
Yeah.
Right,
Because
so I'm just asking you,
Yeah.
you are looking around it.
Oh, absolutely, you have
It's
to.
data-based.
You have to look at schools that are similar in size. You have to look at, the dirt, you have to look at everything.
Yeah.
You have to look at everything, and no matter what it is, I mean, if you really want to enforce it, I think it is going to end up costing money on some level in some way.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I was just wondering if you had gotten.
There's a lot of parents that aren't, so, my daughter just graduated, I think she was in first grade when Sandy Hook happened, so.
Well, I was
you
going to
do
say, I
have-
think the only thing that parents are really concerned about, like from somebody who has a kindergartner going in, I think the only thing I think about is like, you could take it all away, but if there's a school shooting, you got to have a plan of how we're going to get notified. And if you can give me that plan, you can take everything away.
And there is,
Yeah.
there already currently is that sort of
Yeah.
ability to do that. I think parents, though, are just so hypersensitive that they want to have a direct connection to that child rather than waiting to hear from an adult.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I understand that, I do.
Yeah.
I remember those
Being a parent
feelings.
yourself.
Yeah, but, so it's going to be a huge community conversation. There's going to be a lot of input, there's going to be a lot of discussions, there's going to be a lot of debates within, I'm sure, the Board of Ed, and, but hopefully it's going to be done as thoughtfully as way we've always done policy changes, going back to the mascot or the new high school, things of that nature. We have a history in this town of listening to the community and trying to make it the best solution for what the town needs.
So this is probably not going to come up this budget year?
Well, I mean, we're going to be discussing it all year,
Yeah.
but, right, I mean, maybe, possibly, if we really fast-track things, could be after the Christmas break, but I doubt it. I have a feeling this is a conversation that's going to take a while.
Thought there was talk about it being for the following year.
Yes.
Which would mean we would have to have something in when we start building the budget to put it in for next
Correct.
year.
Okay.
Yeah.
But nothing's been
Right.
crossed out yet that I am aware of.
No, and I think the discussion really was for next school year,
So
not this one that's
budget
starting.
cycle then.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be this budget cycle.
Just trying to get prepared.
That's fair. Okay, anything on warrants? I had a couple. I'm trying to find them though.
I saw one for the high school electric usage monitoring. There's a warrant for that for Artis Energy Intelligence. Is that, at one point, we had engaged a company to kind of do an analysis of it. That's not this?
No, this is something different.
Okay.
This is looking at the usage of the high school and monitoring the high school.
Okay.
This isn't the one where they look for
No.
billing errors? Okay, that's
No.
different, okay.
No.
And is this like an annual fee, or it's a little over $12,000, or is it a monthly fee, or is it?
That's an annual.
Okay.
While you're looking, page 2, there was pavement services for almost 36,000, says district pavement services. I'm just curious, was that targeted
East Coast
on
pavement.
certain properties, certain schools, or was it
See
just
if I have-
all across the district?
It was all schools.
All
So it was a
schools,
lot
so
of the
all the schools were
asphalt
touched.
repairs.
Okay.
Yeah, they went in with that sealer.
That's what I
that seals
figured.
the
I just
cracks,
wanted
and
to
at
make
least
sure
I
it was
saw them-
nothing major, that's all.
Yeah, I saw them doing it in the high school parking lot and behind our building,
Okay.
so, but it was all schools.
And then on page 5, Lexia Learning, is that a software?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
It's a special ed software.
Okay.
Can I add one just a few lines down from that? I'm sorry, Mr. Hartman, go ahead.
After you, I bet it's the same one.
McTighe and Associates Consulting, is that it? It was for a workshop on understanding by design. Is that for faculty or students or
I
administration?
believe that was faculty. Let me see.
I think that's, right, probably with the new thinking classrooms.
Yeah, it was staff professional development.
Okay.
Also on that page 5, just something I'm not familiar with. District aims with universal screener. What's a universal screener?
I'm sorry, which one were you looking at?
Oh,
It's
it's,
$19,000, page 5.
I think that's the universal screening for elementary school.
Yes.
It's the new, it's the screening, is it screening for special ed?
I believe it
At the
is.
elementary level, it's the new universal screener that's being used, I believe, at least all across the state of Connecticut,
It's a
right?
software
There was,
guided
yes.
system, okay.
Yep.
I didn't know what
There
the
was-
screening for.
Yeah, there was a lot of discussion during the budget process last year, at least by a couple parents, that were concerned about how we were doing the screening. And so this is kind of
justifies.
This is the state
Justified,
standard.
yes.
This is the
Yes.
state standard.
Right, because otherwise you have individuals and individual schools, and maybe some people didn't agree, and so this is something to help take that,
Gives a baseline. and
yeah,
evens it
human
out.
factor, yeah.
Glad I was never subjected to anything.
Privilege of being old, right?
Anything further on warrants? Or anything else regarding fiscal year 25, 26? While we're still in discussion, just to throw off our secretary. Okay. So there is a motion on the table technically, and a second for the $4,205,470.37. That's just a reminder what you're voting for. So with that, I'll call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? Recusals? Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you both.
Thank
both.
you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, Linda. Item number 5, review and approve the report of expenditures for town government for July 2025. Good evening, Mary Jane.
Good evening. So I'm here tonight with unaudited final numbers for June 30, 2025. Next month, we'll have all the transfers and all the good stuff to finish up 2025, but the numbers are here. I'll start with revenue. We have come in over budget on our revenue by just short of $205,000. We had a couple of departments that done very well, specifically, and they're in the audience, the fire department. The report shows $575,000 over budget for the fire department. We do have another almost $47,000 coming into that line item, so their total is going to be $622,386, which is more than their overage on the expenditure side. And as we've discussed that each month, the correlation between expenditures and revenues, and when we're done going through all of that, the members of the fire department are here to answer whatever questions you might have about this year and possibly going forward. Are there any particular questions on revenue? I will just add, just as an aside, Kathy, that for fiscal year 26, in the month of July, we are already 42% collected overall, and our tax collection is at 45%, so we are right on track to where we should be at the beginning of this year, although I don't have reports for you. I just wanted to let you know where that stood.
Good, thank you.
Any other questions on revenue? All right, so on the expenditure side, few things you'll note. We still have some encumbrances. They may or may not stay at the end of the year. I am showing $530,000 balance for the Board of Education, which, as discussed this evening, will be down to zero when we're done. We are showing that we are over budget overall. As I've noted in the past, we have a number of transfers to come in from fund balance. Specifically, you see capital alone is over $800,000 right there from items from capital. So what I will bring to you next meeting, what I've done in the past, is a report that will show you where we stand based on this, plus your proposed transfers and where it will end at the end of the year, so you can see that before you make your decisions. Any specific questions on expenditures? Other than the fire, like I said, the fire department is here, if you have any specific questions for them.
I mean, there's 4 representatives from fire department. I feel like somebody should speak. But yeah, go ahead, Matt.
Can I speak
Sure.
first on their behalf?
Please.
For a number of years, we've come to you, and you've seen the financial results that the fire department was woefully overexpended. And what they're bringing to you tonight is a performance where their revenues have exceeded their expenditures for personnel for the first time in I can't tell you how many years. And Ken, our chairman, has for years said, we keep raising it, we keep raising the expectations on revenue, and the numbers now are, what, $1.6 million in revenue? Unfortunately, we didn't have the luxury of having that number when we established our budget back in February.
No kidding.
So we know what they're going to get next year, but nonetheless, the differential has been overcome. And again, I haven't looked at the overall budgetary, the numbers, but the expenditures directly related to personnel have been covered by the increase in the revenues from services delivered. And what you all need to know is, no offense, guys, this isn't a fire service anymore. You guys are providing health services predominantly in this community. Ambulance services, getting people to where they need to get to. Yes, fire is part of it, but the revenues are coming from the ambulance side. So I just want to applaud the commission, Ken, and the new chief, your first time, I think, in front of this board as the new chief, right? And Fred, as a board member. This is somewhat monumental because we have been looking at year-over-year deficits in that budget in the $300,000 to $400,000 margin, which means it has to come out of somewhere else. So, job well done.
May I say, with the greatest of respect for the very wonderful services you do, what we're looking at really here is a little bit of a budgeting issue. So, and every year I say, if you guys need the money, ask for the money. Don't show us a $400,000 or $500,000 hole in the ground because it looks bad. And now you outperformed on the revenue side, which also means that there's something wrong on the budgeting of the revenue side. What I'm seeing here is, and you got to tell me why I'm wrong again, there's another department near you who's got replacement salaries at 12.5% of the total salaries. You're at 41%. That's a budgeting issue. It either means you guys go from 10, now you're managers, I'm not. You either go from 10 per shift to 11 or 12 per shift, or you just change the budgeting so that the numbers come in where they are, where they ought to be. That's my observation.
So, well said. And what we have today in front of us is an opportunity. We've had great leadership for many years. We have new leadership now, and I am confident that the new leadership will look at this from the perspective that you have just asked about. And we will be, that's one of the things that Mike has said to me on numerous occasions. Right now, what all he's focused on, well, he's focused on a lot of things, but he's primarily focused on the budget and how we make that a more accountable and reliable tool. So,
Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
I didn't look at it in depth, but that increase in the revenue, that large increase from what it was, is what composes that large increase? Is it simply, it's not simply call volume? Is it simply call volume?
Simply call volume.
Okay. I didn't know if there were other things that...
Mike, come on up and sit.
I'm glad you came up because we wanted to visit with you anyway.
It's not
Clap
because...
for you, congratulations.
It's not because Medicare and Medicaid rates are going up. That's not it.
Yeah, because anybody looks at these numbers, they'd be like, oh, wow, that's, like, is it a mistake or is it just unanticipated? And it was call volume, which we anticipated going up.
Call volume is a continuous moving target, and traditionally, I think the letter we sent back, or the email response from the chief back in March, detailed a lot of that information out. Since 2022, over the last 4 years, we've seen, and I had to double check the numbers again today when I ran the calls, looking at fiscal year 21 to 22, we were at 3,552 calls for service total for the year. And when you flip to this last fiscal year, we're at 4,527. So that's almost 1,000 more calls just in the last 4 years. I'm like, and then again, where are those calls, right? So the majority of those calls, the 21-22 budget, we were at 1,630 ambulance calls. And that, fast forward 4 years later, that's at 2,320, so 2,320. So you're looking at a huge increase in ambulance calls for service. And there's a direct correlation of our revenue, our continuous revenue increasing over time. And I agree that the balancing of replacement salaries, or what we call replacement salaries, or overtime in other budgets, and the reason that replacement salaries is predominantly, I say, straight time for fire service, but over time, that replacement salaries account has continuously been a moving target of the right balance of what we need based on additional call volume. And as, you know, we get into that, are we at a point to add full-time staffing? And I think the numbers we put back in March, if to add 8 more or 2 more per shift to really absorb that replacement salaries account, came back in the area of $300,000 for EMTs and $344,000 for paramedics. So if you paired those up, you're talking almost $644,000 to go back into full-time salaries that would come out of replacement and into full-time. And I think at some point, our biggest balance is, do we add full-time staffing, or do we look at other models? And I think looking at what future models are best suited for Guilford, you know, peak times. Do we need to add, or do we add staffing during peak times, like other communities, to say, you know, 125 Goose Lane or Yale Shoreline, busiest hours are Monday through Friday between 10 a.m. or 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Do we hit those critical time periods to add only the staffing we need based on the demand of the service, or are we better off hiring, you know, the total amount? And I think that strategy going forward and balance with the commission and what would best suit our operational needs and not, you know, stay fiscally responsible.
Yeah, you divide the salaries by the number of employees, you're at $140,000 each. It's a lot of money. I don't know what the average starting salary is, but that seems an awful lot.
Benefits too.
And benefits.
Yeah, that's the piece. 1/3 of that's benefits.
Yep, I know. Yep, I know. But again, compared to another agency near you, it's a very different number over there. So however it works out best, it works out best. But it is a budgeting issue. Yeah.
Well, can I ask a question? Would you do a pay differential for those hours? Like, if you have peak hours, are you looking to like pick up people that like work at multiple sites for that specific period of
You
time?
mean if you look to just staff during daytime peak hours type of
Yeah.
thing? A lot of other services will do, like, let's say Brantford or the town next to us, look at staffing an ambulance or medic unit for that period, just to pick that up. Because one of the other impacts to the whole equation is North Guilford, the staffing in North Guilford is assigned to second out ambulance. And for every time that second out ambulance is pulled out for additional call volume during increased call volume periods of times, there's a depreciation of coverage for not just EMS, but as well as fire. But, you know, we can only do one call at a time and based on where it happens. So I think during those peak periods when we see surge, trying to strategize our best deployment of resources and the best way to fund that. So I think, you know, we have a lot to look at.
I guess what I was trying to get at is like, maybe it's not full-time maybe you have a couple part-time. If you're able to staff it in a way that you're adding maybe a couple part-time people that might work different services and able to pick up those hours, because that happens too. I don't know, it could be a way to.
Lots of options.
Yeah, it sounds like you have lots of options.
I guess the philosophy always has been, and I understand this, everybody there is an EMT, everybody can do the top job.
Correct.
Okay, so you don't have anybody who's, you know, has a desk job.
No.
And you don't have,
Yeah.
well, it's civilian dispatch, but you don't have, you know, everybody who is trained. So I understand that. And I was thinking on the drive over here, I don't know how much flexibility you would have in assigning people to jobs and areas. I understand that. I think it boils down to numbers. But you guys, I've got the consultants out there. Mr. Wilson's a very smart man. I'm sure he's going to help you with the budget and all that. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Looking forward to hearing next year.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Okay. Let's see.
So that kind of ends expenditures. Next month, we're really going to dive a little deeper into the expenditures as we're looking at transfers. Yep.
Okay. So we've covered revenues, we've covered expenses. These are in a little different order this time, I noticed, when it uploaded, which is fine.
We're working our way through.
It's okay. So I'm going through tradition now, warrants. I do know that, yeah, so we're going to have warrants for 25, 26 that we'll be approving we'll do that, we'll do it separately, just so it's clear.
I think the ones
Is
with
there
the
anything?
N are the New Year's.
Is it, yes, they are. Yeah. Is there anything else to go over regarding 24, 25? Should we go over medical?
We can, other than, you have to approve the differential between what we approved last month and.
Correct,
Right,
which I've
okay.
got the number.
Yep.
Yeah.
You want to do medical?
Do you want to do medical before we,
It's entirely up to you,
what,
Mr. Chairman.
let's do medical, and let's go over it. Go ahead, I'll let you explain.
All right, so yeah. So we have our new medical budget for the year. Already July, the claims came in 1.5 million, which is more than
I mean-
what we budgeted, so.
Why would we be
Why
surprised?
would be anything different? The numbers here do represent, you'll see the use of fund balance of 750,000. I am still keeping track of the stop-loss claim reimbursements. You'll see we've already brought in 300,000 in July, and I have another 300 receivable that I'm showing. On catastrophic claims, I'd just like to note that through discussion, meetings with Linda, myself, and our consultant, we did move our catastrophic claim threshold to 175, up from the 150 that we have had in the past. This allowed us to reduce our premium by a little more than 17%. So we're hoping that as we go through, that will be a good move for us. As we've said, every meeting for the last, I don't know how many years, we look at that number every single year, and this happened to be the year where it made sense for us to make some movement. And just so you know, back in up till 2014, our stop loss was at 225, and there were reasons why they were brought it down, and now we are possibly be going up to that, who knows. So as you can also see, somebody has already reached that threshold month one. So we're already $18,000 over the first $175,000 for one member. On the revenue side, I just want to note that you'll see in July, and again you'll see in August with a correction in September, the amount that the Board of Education is contributing to the medical fund. Linda very nicely didn't take the $750,000 fund balance off of her number, and she graciously gave us a little more than we needed. But as you'll see down in my fund balance projection, I have taken that back out so that you can see a more realistic number. At this point, we are at about 1 month in fund balance at this point, and we are still tracking the vision. So not too much more I can say after 1 month, other than we're.
Did we ever decide if we were going out to bid?
Again?
On the medical? I know we talked about it a couple meetings ago.
I'm not sure. We could certainly speak to the consultant to see if it's prudent to go out again. Can do that?
On what piece? The overall insurance? That's a bigger question than you just answered.
Oh, yeah, that's what I knew you meant.
Yeah, it's big. And
Yeah.
and we also have the accrued liability from the carried in force on the previous year. So it's not a straight analysis. There's a trailing
For the IBNR, yeah.
IBNR that we have to pay to get through it. So,
Right.
Megan, you mentioned this a couple of times. I think it makes sense for us to look at it. We've looked at it with Joe Spurgeon in the past, and it has not, at least in his estimation, has not made sense. And again, what we've seen over the last 5 to 7 years, we see some bad years like we had last year. We've seen more than our share of good years over the previous 5 or 6, which got us to the place where we had enough money in that account to fund our OPEB liability. So it's 1 year snapshot on this is a very difficult thing, but I think we can certainly have Joe Spurgeon take a look at it in a longer view to see what it means.
Absolutely, look at it. Yeah.
This has been a long trend.
I just feel like it's it would behoove the town to, even if you don't change it, to at least say we were able to look at this and we still were in a
Well,
good
the
position.
issue is the claims are the claims.
Yeah.
The only way we can save money is through admin.
Right.
You know, because we're going to pay the claims no matter what. Being self-insured, that's
Yeah.
just how it works. So, but we can certainly have a discussion with our consultant, for sure. No problem.
But it is a larger question. Do we get out of the
Yeah.
self-insured business?
'Cause you
and
could
go
just
to a
use fund
pool
balance.
And
You
go
could-
to a bigger pool?
Right.
That's really the question.
Because you could use fund balance to pay that one-time fee.
Well, we might.
I'm just saying.
It all depends how much that fee is now. Certainly.
I'm just saying, it might be a good thing to do.
Our claims for July are almost $500,000 more this year than they were last year. And that's a big jump up.
It's incredible, isn't it?
So the argument has always been, when we have good experience years, it goes to our bottom line, not to the pool. When we have bad years, it goes directly to us, not to the pool.
Right,
So
right.
the analysis is over a longer-term trend.
Yeah.
And have we done better by being in a self-insured and limited pool that we can spread it across, or in a larger pool where we can spread it
Yeah.
across?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, the other counter to that is like, you get better insurance. And if your retention is an issue,
Well, that's not really the case. Our insurance that we offer to our employees is pretty good.
but it's a high deductible plan. You get,
Which I would argue is better. That's my
okay,
opinion.
I would argue it's not. I would argue from a,
Yeah, they,
I guess I would argue from, if you're funding some of the deductible, it's kind of a wash.
4,000.
And from a staff perspective, if I only have to pay a $5 copay instead of $5,000 out of pocket, like, I may stay here longer, and if retention is an issue, I think that piece is a wash, because you're paying it either
And by the
way.
way, it depends on where you are on the healthcare curve.
That's true.
22-year-olds, 24-year-olds, 26-year-olds, high deductible is the best thing they can do. They build themselves a reserve over time. Folks with families, 2 or 3 kids, or et cetera, in their 30s or 40, going to a high deductible is a little bit of a different curve. But we've had some analyses done by Joe Spurgeon. I won't mention anybody who's talked to him lately, but there are some compelling cases that a high deductible plan is a pretty effective plan.
Yeah. As somebody who would be in that retention pool, I would say I would not go with a high deductible
Right.
plan. But I have a young family. I also think there's more incentives, like, you have to go for certain visits, you have to do preventative care, you don't have to do that on high deductible.
Right.
So
But-
there's pros and cons, all I'm saying,
Yeah.
but you do get to reduce some of your costs because the preventative is a forced thing.
Well,
You
let's-
don't
let's-
get to stay on
let's
it.
not-
It's all free with the high deductible.
Well, let's-
Yeah,
let-
but-
If you only
Let's
need
not forget where high deductibles came from.
I know,
Which
but
was
you-
having personal responsibility for managing your health care,
Yeah,
which turned out to be pretty effective methodology to drive overall healthcare costs down over time.
yeah, but this reminds you, and it sets like, you have to do it by this date, or you get kicked off, or you lose your insurance, right? So like, there are pros and cons. All I'm saying is, I think it's worth exploring. I think
It
there's
is.
pros
It
and
is.
cons. I think the actual dollar amount is a wash. And I think most people prefer a PPO plan to a high deductible.
Next.
As somebody who as somebody who manages a high deductible for staff, no one likes it. They all would prefer to be in a PPO plan.
Well, it's easier to manage.
Yeah.
It's easier to manage.
Yeah,
This isn't necessarily about what's the best plan, it's what's easier to manage
yeah,
as
but
opposed to what's most
it's
cost-effective.
easier for them to budget, it's better retention. Anyway, it's just my take on it.
Thank you.
Sorry. I just think it's worth exploring all the options.
It's worth a discussion.
We have these conversations with our consultant every year. It's not like you're saying that this is the first time we're going to do it.
In a public forum like this, at least people know that we're
Yeah.
talking about it.
Right, yeah, right.
And you're right, let's not forget that this is part of a collective bargaining
Right.
thing. So My suspicion is that most of our union friends would probably prefer to go to a PPO plan. But that's a different story.
Yeah, and I just think, like, one thing I would say keep an eye on is like this coming session, just see what happens at the state level with like if they offer a public option or not. That's like a game changer for a lot of cities and towns. So even nonprofits and small businesses, so just keep an eye on what happens there. Sorry. that's-
Sorry for the
I
side
just really
discussion.
want the information, that's it.
Yeah.
All right, so I believe that we covered everything for fiscal year 24-25, so we can put in form of a motion or entertain a motion to approve the report of expenditures in fiscal year 24-25 for the town for July 2025 in the amount of $216,039. That's the differential between what we approved last month and what's left for this year that's been brought to our attention.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, anything further? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye? Any opposed, abstentions, recusals? Okay. So for fiscal year 25-26, we have a couple of warrants. We have warrant, a regular warrant, a weekly warrant, and special fund. Special fund, we don't typically approve. So does anybody have any questions before I entertain both of those motions for the warrants? Either one.
We'll have a full report for next month for July and August.
Okay. I'll tell you what, we could put it in the form of discussion. So I'll go ahead and entertain a motion to approve the warrant dated 8/18/25N for fiscal year 25-26 for the town in the amount of $368,219.51.
Second.
Any discussion? Any questions? Okay, I'll call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Abstentions, recusals? And the weekly warrant. Entertain a motion to approve the weekly warrant dated 8/18/25N for the town for July 2025 in the amount of $705,752.02.
So moved.
Second.
Second? Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, recusals? Excellent.
Mr. Chairman,
Thank you.
before we move on to the next item, I
Please.
just wanted to give a quick update on
Okay.
the sale of bonds. So we sold $7 million in bonds on August 14th, as I explained last month, that we were going to do. We received a premium of $347,350.15, which, as you know, we will use to mitigate increases in future budgets. We had a interest rate of 3.6652, which was lower than what we had anticipated getting, so that worked out well. We had 14 bids, which is the most bids that we've had. 20 years. Yep. All 20-year bids. We had 14 bids. The most bids we've had, they ranged from 3.66 to 3.87 in total interest costs. So we had it was very successful. So just wanted to report to you since I spoke about that last month.
Appreciate it, because that was also noted in the paper. There was an article, I was going to put it on our new business, but that the town secured the highest possible credit rating from Fitch and
Yes.
S&P, so got the AAA rating. So, and that article was in, I think it was last week or the week before, but it was recently in the paper. So glad you brought it up, because I was going to bring it up under new
Okay.
business, but,
Thank you for that, Mr. Chairman.
well, I was going to, I was trying to beat you to it.
What you guys don't know is that every year we go out for bond sale, Mary Jane and I sing for our supper, and we tell the bond rating agencies why we are as good as we are, and MJ is really spectacular at what she does, talking about the finances, and that's, if you read the article, they talk about prudent financial management. MJ's the reason for that, so.
Yes, I will hold off on reading the article, but yes, congratulations on that.
And I always say.
Great news.
Matt is Guilford's biggest cheerleader, so we have to like shut him up after a while. He's got some- And I say that tongue in cheek because we kind of do. But between the two of us, we get everything out there.
It's worth pointing out to anybody keeping score at home that that rate is a point and a quarter under U.S. government
Correct.
bonds.
Yes.
It's tax-driven for investors, but it's good money.
It is,
Yeah.
yep.
Okay, well, thank you. All right, so under, so we defined it, 5.1.1, consider and take possible action to transfer funds from committed fund balance revaluation to the revaluation fund for the October 1st, 2026 revaluation. And there's a memo attached.
So as I note in my memo, the Board of Selectmen did award the bid for the next reval of $272,000. I did add an additional $1,000 for some incidentals. We have costs to put the ads in the newspapers and things like that. We do have over $300,000 set aside for reval at this point. We are already planning for our next one. So I am looking for a motion. The Board of Selectmen approved it this morning, $273,000 from fund balance committed reval in the general fund into the revaluation fund.
Wow. I was going to say, I'd like to put that in the form of a motion. Although it should probably be a board member. Yeah, so.
moved.
There you go. Thank you, Veronica.
I'll second that.
All right. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Excellent. 512, consider and take possible action to transfer funds from reserve for personnel into various departmental line items for fiscal year 2026. Same thing, memo attached. This is the transfer of monies that would go into all of the departmental contract, into the salary line items.
Correct. As you know, each year, when we have contracts that are not yet settled, we estimate an amount that we budget into reserve for personnel. I wrote GSA, it should be GEA. You know, I look at these things 100 times and still look at the front. The GEA contract finalized, we have an extension to the fire department contract and some other minor changes in personnel. As you can see, we're looking to take $385,872 out of the reserve for personnel budget, which currently has $756,750, so about half of it, and to divvy it up to all the line items that I have noted here on page 2.
Okay, any other discussion? So I'll entertain a motion to approve the transfer of those funds from reserve for personnel into the various department line items fiscal year 26 in the amount of $385,872.
So moved.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Abstentions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Item 513, consider and take possible action on the salary for first selectman. So, before we get into that discussion, wanted to just provide some very quick history. So prior to election of the first selectman, board of selectmen, and the register of voters, we are required to set the salary of each of our elected officials. So 4 years ago, we had created a subcommittee That subcommittee then reported back to the board, the full board, which was done in September, and then salaries were set for first selectman and the board of selectmen. Registrar of voters has already been set. That was done a couple years ago, so they're off cycle. So for this particular election, we will need to determine any changes to the salary for first selectman. Now, on here, it does say first selectman. I do think it should be first selectman and board of selectmen, should be both, to be consistent. Whether we change them or not, it doesn't matter. We should still have them both on there. So what I would like to suggest is, there is some data that you'll see that was attached. This came from Mitch Goldblatt, and he has indicated some geographical, local first selectman salaries, as well as, I believe, East Haven. Was it East Haven? And there's another that's a mayor, that's got a mayor, but he felt that they were still appropriate to put in this document. So the first thing I'd like to do is appoint a subcommittee to take this on and request any other additional information that they may want from Mitch, or even do their own research. What we'll do tonight, I think, I know, is that we'll appoint that subcommittee, and then we'll table the item, and then we'll have the subcommittee report back to the board at our September meeting. And I will make sure that we revise the agenda to indicate first selectman and board of selectmen.
Question on that. So is the salary the same for all those positions?
No.
Okay. So why?
For Board of Selectmen, I think she's talking about. Board of Selectmen.
For the board of selectmen?
Why would you change it to be first selectman and board of selectmen?
Because the first selectman and each of the board of selectmen, each of the selectmen are different. So the actual board is set at one number, and the
Right.
first selectman is set at another number, so they're two separate numbers.
Board of Select, the
think
selectmen
what
get a
she's at-
stipend.
Yes.
So we set a stipend for them.
But
So
it's
are we
considered,
talking-
it's considered a salary, is it not?
I thought we were just,
Salary, I'm sorry.
okay, so.
It
the
does say
document in
just
front of us
first
is-
selectmen, but I'm recommending that the board of selectmen, it's always been, it's reviewed at the same time.
Okay, so it's going to be two separate numbers, but you just want to include them all in the same.
Right, so in other words, 4 years
Okay.
ago, the board of
Gotcha.
selectmen salary was voted on, and then the first selectman.
But this document doesn't
Right.
apply to the board of selectmen.
That
just
is
the first-
correct.
Okay.
That is correct.
Clarified, thank you.
In fact, I'm glad you brought it up, because that might be additional data or information that the subcommittee will want. And I've already kind of primed Mitch for that. That we should be looking at the Board of Selectmen as well, rather than just the first selectman, and to be prepared to provide some information, which he did 4 years ago. So we could do that.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
Please.
Is there a lump sum pension for the first selectman's position, or is that so handled differently?
There's according to Mary Jane, on top of that.
I mean, I couldn't hear that. It was
There is a 457 contribution to the first selectman in lieu of pension.
Okay.
And that's,
I'd like to know what that is too.
that is based on IRS rules relative to the age and the salary of the position at the time. So I'm sure Mitch can provide that to you.
Thank you.
So with that, I would like to ask for volunteers to serve on the subcommittee. I did note that last time, 4 years ago, it was Megan, I believe you were on it, Veronica was on it, and Bob, you were on it. So, anybody, it doesn't matter to me. If you all want to do it again, or if you want to change it up, you can do that. Veronica,
Better to me, Mr.
Veronica, I know that you're already serving in a capacity also with the Board of Education right now with the negotiations, so I'm just being mindful of that, that's all, that you also have a task. So if you'd like to do it again, that's perfectly fine.
Happy to serve. If there's somebody else that's willing, fine.
Do you want to do it?
Okay,
You want to get the band together again, or it's?
that's
Well,
fine.
I mean, if you want to do it, you can do it.
Sure.
All right,
Okay.
I'll take a break.
You'll take a pass on this one?
Yep.
Okay.
I'll come back next time.
Okay. So Bob?
Yeah, well, I've got the old calculations and whatever, yeah.
Okay. Bob Hartman, Veronica Walsh, and Amy Earls will be the subcommittee. As you look at this information, which is very brief, that's been attached, if there's anything else that you would like, make sure I think it would be just best, reach out to me, and then I'll send it to Mitch for the information.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
I'm not going to sing for my supper. but
Nope.
I might sing for future first selectmen.
Which
You
is
need to
exactly
ensure
what we're
that
doing.
You need to ensure that you make this a position that someone who is not in their 60s might be interested in participating in and bringing younger and more energy to the job. I would also suggest that you expand your search beyond the 5 or 6 towns that Mitch gave you, and maybe include the towns that you utilize to determine the registrar's salaries, which I believe included a significantally different
Demographic and-
I think it was
group
based
than
more on
this,
the population.
which included a community like Ridgefield. So,
We were much wider sample than this last
And they
time.
had similar demographics and population
Yeah,
size.
I want to be very clear that this was put together by Mitch as a kind of a precursor, just to give an idea. As a subcommittee, you can all decide what you think is the most valuable data, and then go from there. But that's very good. That's a very good point, that there's different demographics, there's different populations, there are different data points that you could look at. This is just one very, very brief sample.
I'd also like to make a pitch for restoring the Board of Selectmen's stipend to what it was 8 years ago, when a member of this board was pretty emphatic about taking it down from 10,000 to 8,000. And I can say without question that the Board of Selectmen members spend their time. They're all assigned to do negotiations, they're all assigned to subcommittee work, and some of them are assigned to do some outside negotiations with organizations. So I'm not sure why that passed. I excused myself 8 years ago, but I'm not sure that that was the most appropriate thing to do.
Thank you. Will be under consideration. Okay. Is there anything further on this line item before I make a motion to table the line item until September 2025?
So make sure
You-
you need to make a decision in September.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Yeah, that's a drop. That's a deadline. I don't want to say drop. It's a deadline.
It's a deadline.
Okay. Yeah, oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely, yeah. No, that's when it's been historically done, every September right before the election, so. Okay. I'll entertain a motion to table line item 513, consider and take possible action on the salary for first selectman.
And Board of Selectmen.
And, okay, and yes, thank you. And the discussion, I just want to add that we will make that Board of Selectmen also for the next agenda to make sure that both are covered. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Thank you, Veronica. Okay. Committee reports. Anything under committee reports? No.
I can just report, Mr. Chairman, that the Board
Please.
of Education is having their first meeting this Wednesday afternoon, so I have nothing really to report back to the board on, other than they had an organizational meeting, and the first get down to business meeting is this Wednesday.
Okay, so that organizational meeting was August 12th, I believe? I know I was away. Yes, that was the, okay, because I knew there was a meeting before that, so. And then, yes, August 20th is the first official meeting of that, of the negotiations. Thank you, Veronica. Okay, if nothing else under committee reports, old business. I had actually that line under old business, so we're all set with that. I did want to follow up as old business on the Guilford girls softball, Little League softball. I think the last time we met, they were doing very well in the regionals. They won the regionals. They went to the World Series. Unfortunately, it didn't pan out in the results that they probably would have liked, but I do want to add that I believe I speak on behalf of the board and the town, that we're very proud of them. They did a fantastic job. And again, I know it's not the result they probably wanted, but they played their hearts out. And it was, listen, when you lose 1-0 to the team that eventually won the entire thing, right? Pennsylvania, and they lost 1-0 in the first game. That's pretty good. So they should be very proud.
Let's put this in perspective. They were one of 8 teams that went to the World Series. There are 12 girls on each team. Do the math.
Yeah.
That was a pretty special event out of all the girls who play softball in this country at that age group. And I got an email earlier today that they're looking to do something to celebrate it.
Oh, I hope so.
I think it's either the 26th or the 28th. They're going to use on the green to do some kind of celebration parade, whatever. But if in fact that it will happen, and I suggest that everybody show up and support those girls who played their hearts out.
They're very impressive.
Yes, I agree.
Exciting to watch.
Yeah.
Guilford Fair Parade as well.
Yes, they ought to be featured. That's right. They can march up front with.
Great. Okay. Anything else under old business? New business? Covered already? So I'm all set with that. Anything else? Public forum? Seeing no public forum, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, Veronica.